The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, horror fans, and welcome to episode 326 of Frightmares. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today, first time ever on the show, fan of the show, and personal friend, is Derek Ferreira. I learned your last name. I did it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How's it going?
It's going good. It's Friday. I'm excited for the weekend. Got a 4-day weekend coming up. It's also the kiddo's birthday this weekend. We're going to Disney on Tuesday, which is going to be just as awful as it sounds in the middle of summer in Florida. But hey, it's all for the kids. So, that's all that matters.
That's always for the kids.
Always for the kids. So Derek is a fellow... Well, not, I was going to say fellow TikToker. He actually, we met on TikTok, and then he mentioned how he listens to the show, and I was like, oh my God, someone actually reaching out to me that listens to the show. I love this. So we've been going back and forth and just becoming buddies. We've realized that our taste in movies is quite similar for the most part. I think there was one time when we didn't agree, and I was like, and thus it begins, the one movie that sets us apart. But yeah, so he's been a good buddy of mine. He does a lot of good content on TikTok. His name is HFK if you want to give him a follow. I'll have him reiterate that at the end of the show. So briefly, if you don't mind telling me, because my history with just horror movies is kind of boring. So, when did you get into horror movies? Has this been like a lifelong thing for you?
I would say, yeah, for the most part. I mean, when I was with not so much with my mom. So my parents are divorced, and my mom didn't necessarily let me watch anything. But when I was with my dad, and he was working on the weekends because he managed a movie theater, it was more or less free game. There's one movie I specifically remember he did not let us watch, me and my brother, and that was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
But up to that, I mean, he took me to see Terminator 2 when I was 5 years old. So there was little to no care with what he let us watch. As far as, it really didn't hit me until I was an adult. And it kind of just became my thing, way later on in life.
Yeah.
When I was like, this is what I'm going to focus on. This is going to be my thing. I'm going to just deep dive, watch whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's always been there.
Always been present. I love that. So yeah, we obviously have a mutual shared love of horror movies. I mean, HFK stands for Horror Film Kid. So I love that so much.
Even though I'm 40 and...
Yeah. I love it. And he's also on Letterboxd, but we'll get all that info at the end of the show when we do our plugs and stuff. But history with Ghost Ship for me, going into the format here, I honestly did not see this one nearly as early as I did 13 Ghosts. This is one that I don't think... Now, I started Letterboxd in 2019, and it's entirely possible that the first time I ever watched this was January 8th, 2019. I don't recall seeing it before then, but I knew once I did watch it that it was the same director of 13 Ghosts, and I was like, well, this can't be bad, and in my opinion, it is not. This movie gets a lot of hate, so that's kind of my boring backstory with Ghost Ship. I've watched it every single year since I've had Letterboxd because I almost always pair it with 13 Ghosts, since it's the same director. They have similar vibes. But yeah, I love this movie, and we'll talk about why we love this movie and how it gets so much hate. And I don't really necessarily get the hate. So what about you? Is this something that you had seen in your adolescence, or did you find this kind of later in life?
Absolutely saw it in my adolescence. I was a teenager working at the movie theater when this came out. Honestly, I probably saw it opening night.
Oh my God.
I don't really recall, but it was definitely probably during the opening weekend that I would have seen this.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's stuck with me ever since.
Yep.
I mean, that age range was just that was probably when I really started to like horror. I mean, I was
Okay.
16 years old when this came out, and the early 2000s are just like my jam with horror.
Dude, I have been going through just the gambit of like early 2000s horror. I watched House of Wax recently. I'm going to throw on Texas Chainsaw remake tonight. I've just been going through like, and I'm realizing, yeah, this is my sweet spot for horror is early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and even mid 2000s. I just think they put out so many just back-to-back bangers in the early 2000s. So, and it's cool that your dad actually owned a theater. So, I mean, you're a theater kid. You grew up just watching movies all the time for free. Like, that's pretty cool. It was in a small town you mentioned, right? I know we talked about this previously.
Yeah, I mean, the town's gotten bigger now. It's very tourist. I mean, it's honestly, I mean, I know you live in Florida and you have to deal with tourists too because of the area you're in.
Right.
The only difference is people come up here to just drink in the woods.
I mean, you know, different types of vacations, both still fun, I'm sure. So yeah, okay, awesome. So yeah, you've definitely been watching this basically since it came out, which is amazing. I'm newer to it, but I still have such a passion for Ghost Ship. So we will talk about that in just a moment. But before we do that, we got to do this, and we got to do what did Jason Hill make me watch this week? Jason made me watch The Greenskeeper from 2002, and Derek actually watched this as well. This is awesome. So the little summary here is: assistant greenskeeper invites friends for a country club birthday party. A killer dressed as a greenskeeper crashes the party and kills people with golf tools. Not really so many golf tools. A couple. Like the ball cleaner. Like
that was good. That was good.
That went on for so long. I could not stop laughing and laughing. I was like, this is I know exactly what they're trying to do, and I appreciate the bit. So what I found hilarious about this, before the movie even started, when the title credits were going, I noticed that it was written, produced, and directed by a man with the last name of Green, which just sent me into fucking space. I was like, this is hilarious. Putting Green, you're doing like a golf themed horror movie, hilarious. The lifeguard yelling at the pool was great. He was yelling at all these kids to not dive in a pool, which seems weird. And then just berating that one kid for misbehaving. I was like, I love this. This is so great. And then there's one. Yeah, you're in timeout. And he's just like screaming right in his face. I was like, I'm all here for berating children. This is great. But then the line that really made me yuck beyond all belief, and I even called my wife into the room to replay it, was when they're all sitting there and they're like, well, you know, my parents were supposed to go away to this island, but it got overthrown by gorillas. But that wasn't even the line. The line was, they're like, oh, well, we already got a shitload of booze and crack. What are we supposed to do? And I was like, what a combination. Like booze and crack. Okay. So that was hilarious, but I don't think they understand drugs because they said they had crack, but they were clearly snorting lines of cocaine. And then one point someone busted out a spoon to like liquefy the crack, but I was like, you do that with heroin. I was like, you don't really shoot crack. So whoever wrote this clearly doesn't have any idea how drugs work. But they must have been on something, right? When they were writing this, they had to have been on something.
100%. But I will say that for how low, but like some of the jokes like hit that were at the beginning, and I was shocked because I thought this was going to be a horror comedy in the sense that like it was funny because it was bad. And me and the wife were like cracking up at some of the jokes. And we're like, holy shit, this is. I will say that we watched it after getting home from work. So the 45 minutes where it got really slow in the middle, I was dozing off.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then I woke up before the last, 10 minutes when they were killing everybody.
Yeah, it's a wacky movie. There's a conversation about girls not pooping, but rather butterflies coming out. One guy at one point says, remember, you don't leave a shit, or you don't leave a shit, you take a shit. And I don't know what context that was supposed to be in because they weren't really discussing anything about that. The dialogue is fucking diabolical. The characters are basically cartoons, and the story is just fucking ridiculous. You also have Chet, Chaz, and Champ, three guys. They're like three stooges of the elite country club golf douchebags you have to fight your way through before you tango with their leader, Kyle. And then you had Mary Beth, Mary Catherine, and Mary Jane. Not confusing at all. Whoever wrote
I got
this.
all the characters confused. Every single fucking character I could not keep track of.
Right, it is impossible. I mean, you have three guys with the name starting with Ch, and then you have Mary, Mary, Mary. It's like, what the hell? But there are some pretty good elements to this movie. Like, the kills were pretty fucking good. The kills were solid. There were some interesting kills. There were some fun kills. The blood was kind of like very, very red, like almost overly red. I had a blast with this movie, and I'm realizing as I get older that I just love like just cheesy bad movies. Like, I was laughing the entire time, and then a kill would happen, and I was like, hell yeah. And I love the old sassy black guy too, that I don't even remember the main guy's name. I can't even remember his fucking name. And he's the main character. But the main character, the assistant greenskeeper, works with the sassy old black guy. He was hilarious. So yeah, and anything else you wanted to add on the greenskeeper since you did watch it?
No.
Okay. So the rating on this one is a 2.8 out of 5, which is actually shockingly high. Jason gave it a 2.5 out of 5, and he wrote, feels like someone wrote this after binging Are You Afraid of the Dark while huffing nitrous. That is an astute observation. I agree with that. What did you give the greenskeeper?
I gave it a 2.5.
Okay, so I clearly just, oh man, I gave it a 4 out of 5 because this one is not for the quality of the movie. This is solely a how much fun I had with it. Because I mean, ultimately, it'd probably be a 2 out of 5, but I had so much goddamn fun. It's like 5-star time, 2-star movie, you know? So that's what I did. The Greenskeeper is not streaming anywhere. We did have to rent this, but it's only like a $2.99 rental. So I do appreciate you renting that and checking it out. That's on Amazon, and I actually had some points left anyway. So it was a 3-cent rental for me because I had some Amazon Prime points. But again, that is The Greenskeeper from 2002.
Jason says, check it out. You'll probably hate it.
Thanks, Jason. Let's talk about some Oscar winners and the highest grossing movies of 2002. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers takes the cake at $938.5 million. No shock there. Highest grossing horror movie of the year goes to The Ring, bringing in a whopping $249.3 million, which for a horror movie in this time that's incredible. That is a massive W for the horror community. So this is the 75th Academy Awards presented on Sunday, March 23rd, 2003, honoring movies released in 2002. Best actor goes to Adrian Brody for The Pianist. Actor in a supporting role goes to Chris Cooper for Adaptation. Best actress goes to Nicole Kidman for The Hours. Actress in a supporting role, Catherine Zeta-Jones for Chicago. Cinematography to Conrad L. Hall for Road to Perdition. Director goes to Roman Polanski, for The Pianist. Musical score, Elliot Goldenthal for Frida. And then Best Picture goes to Chicago, which obviously I watched. Have you seen Chicago before?
Fuck no.
You know,
I'm not a fan of musicals. I mean, there's some here or there, but for the most part, no.
No, I agree, and that's like my first point in my review here. The IMDb summary, though, is two death row murderesses develop a fierce rivalry while competing for publicity, celebrity, and sleazy lawyers' attention. It's a crime musical, and usually I'm not into musicals. Like, I enjoy Sweeney Todd, Little Shop of Horrors, Rocky Horror, Repo the Genetic Opera, Disney movies, Muppets, stuff like that. So I was like, I'm probably not going to like this. I'm just not a fan of musicals. But this fucking thing slapped so goddamn hard. It's actually based off of a 1975 musical by Bob Fosse. And then that musical is based off of a play from 1926. I'm also like a low-key fan of jazz, which is featured heavily in this. So right off the bat, I was like, okay, I can do this. It's also not traditional musical in the sense of characters breaking out into song and dance in the same scene. All of the musicals are taking place, they're being envisioned by the main actress Renee Zellweger, and they're all a production like on a stage. So it's very separated from the story to the musical, which I appreciate because I don't like when people just break out in song and dance. Interesting cast. Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Richard Gere, and Queen Latifah all doing their own dancing and singing. I did not know Queen Latifah could sing. And unfortunately, I cannot take her. What's that?
I was going to say, I'd be more surprised Richard Gere could sing.
He can sing very well, and he was dancing very well too. But so it's one of those actresses that's ruined for me, and it's not their fault, it's my fault. But I know Queen Latifah almost exclusively from Scary Movie 3 as her role as the Oracle. So that's all I can see when I look at her. So it's not her fault, it's my fault. It's just my association. And then John C. Reilly's in this as well, doing a very good dramatic performance. I think he is so underutilized when it comes to dramas. He's such a good actor. And he actually did my favorite song, Mr. Cellophane. Good stuff. Rated 4.0 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. My review is the amount of women killing men in Chicago seems wildly high, but on point at the same time. Streaming on Paramount Plus if you want to check it out. It is actually an Oscar-winning movie that is under 2 hours. It's an hour and 50 minutes. Thank Christ. Because every fucking one of these Oscar winners has been 2.5 hours. So, if that's your thing, check it out. I don't think Derek will check it out, and that's okay.
Well, I was also bitter towards that movie when it came out because Gangs of New York should have won Best Picture that year.
Okay.
By Chicago. But as we all know now, the Academy doesn't watch movies, so that's probably why Gangs of New York lost.
Yeah, I found out that they recently started making that a requirement, that they actually have to watch all of them. And I was like, why weren't we always doing this? That seems crazy to me, but whatever. So, again, that's Chicago. Check it out on Paramount Plus. Let's move on to this IMDb Roundup. This is Ghost Ship from 2002, released on October 25th of that year, so literally 1 year later from 13 Ghosts, because that was released on October 26th of 2001. It's rated R for strong violence, gore, language, and sexuality. So there is mild sex and nudity, severe violence and gore, severe profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and severe frightening and intense scenes. Coming in at an hour and 31 minutes, listed as a horror mystery thriller. Directed by Steve Beck, who also directed 13 Ghosts, as we mentioned last week. Written by 2 people. One of them, his name is Mark Hanlon, and he only wrote one other thing called Buddy Boy from 1999. Okay. And then we have John Pogue, who also wrote The Skulls 1 through 3, Rollerball 2002, and then Quarantine 2, The Terminal. Have you ever seen Quarantine 2?
I have not.
Okay, that's probably for the best. It's not good. It is not good. Composed by John Frizzell, who also composed Alien Resurrection, 13 Ghosts, and Stay Alive. Cinematography by Gail Tattersall, who also did the cinematography for Tank Girl, 13 Ghosts, and 120 episodes of House. Edited by Roger Barton, who also edited the Amityville Horror 2005, Transformers 2 through 5, and World War Z. And again, produced by Robert Zemeckis. I found out that Dark Castle was actually a culmination of 2 other producers and Robert Zemeckis, and I found that fascinating because it just seems so weird for Zemeckis to be involved in this. It's not really, he doesn't do horror movies, Zemeckis does more sci-fi stuff, so it's very interesting to know that. Killer cast here. We've got Gabriel Byrne as Murphy, who was also in Hereditary as Steve, Toni Collette's husband. We've got Julianne Margulies as Epps, who was in 135 episodes of ER as Carol Hathaway. We've got Ron Eldard as Dodge, who was in Deep Impact, another boat horror movie, as Oren Minaj. Desmond Harrington as Ferryman, who was also in 72 episodes of Dexter as Quinn. We've got Carl Urban as Munder, who was also in Dread as Dread. And then Emily Browning as Katie, who was in Sucker Punch as Baby Doll. Estimated budget of $20 million, bringing in 68.3, so not too bad. Filmed in British Columbia and Nova Scotia, Canada, and Queensland, Australia. You can rent this on Amazon for $3.79. I was surprised this wasn't available to rent. I assume you had some copy, right?
Of course.
Of course. Movies that came out around the same time, I guess I forgot to do that because I wrote down Sweet Home Alabama and Red Dragon, so there you go. Those are the only 2 movies that came out around this time. That is my fault. IMDb summary, a salvage crew discovers a long-lost 1962 passenger ship floating lifeless in a remote region of the Bering Sea and soon notices that its long-dead inhabitants may still be on board. This is Ghost Ship.
Murphy, I'm Jack Ferryman. I fly the Arctic Weather Patrol. Last month, I was out in the middle of the strait when I came across this.
Congratulations. You found a boat in the middle of the ocean.
What do you think a ship like this could be worth?
Depends on if we have the right to salvage it. I do know one thing. Sea gives you an opportunity, you take it.
Yo, Murph, I think you should get up here.
It's an ocean liner.
It's the Antonia Grassa.
Any sign of what might have happened?
Nothing. No passengers. No crew. No captain. No mention of anything in the ship's log. What do you make of that?
A ghost ship.
I think I saw something I couldn't possibly have seen. I think I saw a little girl.
I know all of this isn't real.
We're all trapped here. I want to show you something.
I told you guys earlier if there was something seriously wrong with this boat, haunted, possessed, whatever you want to call it. I said we get our boat going and get the hell out of here.
What are we gonna do? We have got to get off this boat now.
Bon voyage.
So, Derek, overall thoughts on Ghost Ship? What do we have?
This is just a fun slasher mixed with a ghost haunted house movie. Obviously, it's on a boat. It's not in a house, but I don't know. I like the mashup of it. You know, you get the slasher aspect that not you specifically, but people were looking for in the early 2000s with horror movies.
Mhm.
It's just a good, frightening ghost film.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And for my overall thoughts are just like 13 Ghosts. I feel this is underappreciated, underrated, absolute ripper of a movie. This one does use a little bit more CGI, but still stuck to the practical effects, which still hold up. And even the CG that was used, there's a lot of scenes, like specifically one I'm going to reference now is when, God damn it, what was his name? Let me scroll back up. I think it was Greer when he's like, basically that room came to life and it was like a reverse shot of all the chairs popping back up and the shit. I was like, this is holding up pretty goddamn well. And again, there's still plenty of practical effects to keep everybody happy. So I still think this holds up very well. Going into the format here, I mean, we got to talk about the opening scene, which is literally hailed as one of the greatest like openings in a horror movie ever. It's killer. It's one of my personal favorites. I feel like it has to be some sort of like record for people killed at once in a cold open, right? Like how many people just get cut in half?
It's got to be up there. I mean, there's definitely some other movies with high body counts like that, but
yeah, especially in the opening. But I guess people's main problem with this movie is the fact that the opening is so good, but then everything else is just not good. And I just don't understand that. To me, of course, we'll get into that. But yeah, that opening scene is great. I mean, everything's hunky dory. It's all nice and everyone's dancing and there's music and the little girl's dancing with the captain. Her name is Katie. And then tragedy strikes. And it's fun because they give you enough of the setup to realize that something is going to happen with that wire. But then when it goes through every single person, you're like, oh, okay. I thought maybe one person was going to get cut in half, not 50 people on a dance floor. And that scene, too, still holds up very well, even though there is a lot, they had to use CG for that, of course. But they use it in such a way, and they use the camera very well, too, where you only see it for a glimpse. Like, if they don't hold the camera on it for a long enough time for you to be like, oh, that's rough CG. It's just very well shot. And do you feel the same way about that?
Oh, absolutely. And I love the fact that, like, I guess I want to call it a fake out because it opens like it's the fucking Love Boat with the title card being all in cursive and pink and You're like, wait, am I actually sitting down and watching a horror movie? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, there's the title card. It says Ghost Ship, but why is it in script and why is it pink? And and everybody's fucking dead.
And there it is. I was waiting for the other shoe to fall. Yeah, I love that. I always forget that the title card is pink, and then it we'll play it. And I'm like, oh, that's right. That's how they do this. It's like the opening of oh my god, Parent Trap or something, or Titanic, where you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. Oh no, everyone's dead. I love it. So going into what worked, to me. Outside of the, so CG aside, I think this is an even more timeless movie than 13 Ghosts, because we're establishing that the boat that they are on is from 1962. So everything's locked into that decade. So it's locked into the 60s. So the only thing, and even the technology is also in the past. So there's not really much that stands out outside of the clothing. There isn't really any use of cell phones. They're on a ship, so there's really no need for them. They probably wouldn't work anyways. So outside of me being like, oh, this actor looks really young, but even the wardrobe doesn't really scream early 2000s to me, except for Greer, because he has that backwards cap on, and he kind of looks like he's from the 2000s. But this one really, for me, kind of just is timeless in a sense, because you also have an entire rundown ship. I mean, you can't really put a date on that outside of the fact that, hey, they did establish it's 1962. So I think this one really, if I showed this to my daughter when she grows up, and I'd be like, when do you think this is from? I think she'd have a hard time putting a date on it. Of course, she'd probably say, oh, this is really old. This is like 2016 or something like that. Kids' perception of time is hilarious. But yeah, and it's hard to not compare this to 13 Ghosts, but I think this story is a little simpler than 13 Ghosts too. I don't know about that, because the 13 Ghosts, it's not like it's convoluted, but there's a lot of layers there. This one is like, hey, this ship is haunted, and these people were killed because of the ferryman, and he's got a body count. Like, that's a pretty simple plot to follow. I can't imagine what, like, do you have any reason to know, or has anyone told you that they don't like this movie and explained why? Because, like, I have no reason to hate this movie.
I've never talked to anybody that I've ever talked to has always appreciated this movie. I might not rate it as high as I have, but they still, everybody likes that opening kill. Everybody, I mean, it's a ghost story. I mean, I would say this might be slightly more convoluted than 13 Ghosts, only because until they do the flashback scene kind of explaining everything that happens on the ship, there's a couple parts where you kind of might be like, hey, why is that happening? Mm-hmm. Or whereas 13 Ghosts is just like, yeah, it's more straightforward. We inherited a house and there's ghosts in it.
Yeah, I guess that maybe I explained it wrong, because I think there's more going on. They do explain everything very well in 13 Ghosts. Maybe that's what I meant. Maybe I meant to say, like, the narrative might be a little bit more complicated with 13 Ghosts, but they explain it more. This one, you're kind of guessing until they reveal it. And then when they reveal it, you're like, okay, well, I still have some questions. I think I've said that backwards. But yeah, because everything is explained so well in 13 Ghosts, you are keeping up with the characters as they go along. And in this one, it's kind of a mystery until the end. And then they kind of throw a lot at you. And they don't explicitly explain some of the things. They just show you on screen, because Katie is like showing this vision to Epps. So I think I had that backwards. But what's really cool about this movie is, at the end of the day, right, it's a heist movie with fucking ghosts that's based on the ferryman from Greek mythology, which is fucking cool. So in case someone doesn't know, I will just briefly describe the Greek mythology behind this. So in Greek mythology, there is this person named, I think it's Charon. They are a ferryman of the Greek underworld. They carry souls of those who have been given funeral rites across the rivers Archaron and Styx, which separate the worlds of the living and the dead. Archaeology confirms that in some burials, low-value coins, known generically as Charon's obols, were placed in, on, or near the mouth of the deceased, or next to the cremation urn containing their ashes. This has to be to confirm that at least some aspects of Charon's mytheme are reflected in some Greek and Roman funeral practices, or else the coins function as an allowance of money for the soul's journey. In Virgil's epic poem, Aenid, I'm pronouncing this all terribly, I apologize. The dead who could not pay the fee and those who had received no funeral rites had to wander near the shores of the Styx for 100 years before they were allowed to cross the river. Charon also ferried the living mortals Hercules and Aeneas to the underworld and back. So at the core of the movie, that's what this is. And dude gives his name away right off the bat. His name is Jack Ferryman, but I don't think anyone could have made that connection and put that together just based on the name.
Who wanted to see this movie when it came out, they didn't know anything about that Greek mythology. His fucking name would have been right over everybody's head.
Right, exactly. And it's funny now because I didn't know he introduced himself as Jack Ferryman, but he does. They call him Jack for the rest of the movie, but he does mention it at the beginning, and I think that was a smart thing to do because it's basically a throwaway line. No one listens to introductions. I don't give a shit. And that's probably why I never noticed it until this watch. So yeah, that's what's really cool about this is... And I genuinely don't know. Like I said, most of my friends that have watched this love this. So I don't know if there are people out there that don't realize that this is kind of, there's a fancy word I'm looking for, kind of a metaphor, I guess, for that Greek mythology, taking souls from the land of the living to the land of the dead. And that's really cool. And that's what Jack is here to do. He has a quota he has to fill. He's going from boat to boat to boat to fill this quota. And this is the boat he's on now. Apparently he was a few short and didn't get enough when he killed everyone on the fucking boat. And that's why he's here still trying to collect souls. So it's really fucking cool. And this is actually Dark Castle's first original idea that they did because they redid House on Haunted Hill. They redid 13 Ghosts. So this was their first original idea. And it is loosely similar to a movie called Death Ship. Have you ever seen? Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I actually just watched Death Ship, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's. I was gonna try and do it before the episode, but I didn't. But I know the synopsis, and I've seen clips of it, so it's vaguely similar to that. I know that the title card for Ghost Ship was inspired from that title card, or the poster was inspired from that. But yeah, this is a really good first original idea, and it's really a shame that both of these movies technically kind of bombed because Steve Beck hasn't done anything since, and I would have loved to see his career as a horror director blossom because I think he directed the fuck out of both of these movies.
He retired after making Ghost Ship, and I don't know if it had to do with the critical response, but earlier today I was actually trying to deep dive and find information. There is next to nothing out there about that dude.
Wow.
Other than the fact that he made these two movies and then he said peace.
And I don't know if this email was correct, but I did find some sort of an email for him, and I reached out to him just to be like, hey, I'm a super fan. I'd love to talk to you. I don't even know if it was right. I did never hear a response back, but yeah, he's someone I would love to talk to just to be like, hey, like I'm just genuinely curious. Like, what happened? Was it because of the critical response to these? Was it they didn't really bomb? I mean, they definitely made some sort of a profit because Dark Castle is still around today, so it's not like this caused the end of Dark Castle Entertainment, but it is still an interesting point in horror history where it's like, man, I would have loved to see what else this guy could have done, because I'm sure he probably would have remade some more Dark Castle or some more classic movies like this and done a more original ideas. So Steve Beck, if you're out there, if you're listening, God bless you. You're a fucking legend, and we love you. Okay, so talking about the setting, I mean, the setting of this movie fucking rocks, dude. It's on a huge passenger ship, adrift at sea. They also pull up onto this ship and it's storming and shit. I love this setting, and I feel like we don't have enough horror movies set exclusively on boats. Like, there's some, don't get me wrong. There's like maybe a handful that I could think of, like 5, 6, 7. But I love, because one of my fears is the ocean. Like, I don't even go. I live in Florida. Yeah, I hate it too. I live in Florida and I will go up to my knees and I'm like, that's enough. Unless the water is crystal clear and I can see all the way to the bottom, I'm not fucking around with it. There's so many things in there. So immediately for me, being on a boat isolated that they find out is actually sinking slowly, that is a fear of mine. Because what happens when that boat sinks? Because our other boat exploded in a fit of glory. And I don't want to sit in a raft out on the ocean. So I assume you feel the same way about that.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm also, I mean, this movie also drags me in because I love abandonments. I will explore them any chance I get. My brother lives up in Maine, and there's like an old YMCA, an old mental hospital, and we've explored all of them. I mean, yeah, should we be in there? No. But I'm in there just because I think it's cool and I like the history surrounding it. I'm not in there to do crack like half the other people that break in.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, no, I don't know what it is that's always been a thing of mine. I love exploring the past, essentially.
man, see, I always tell myself I would love to go and explore like an abandoned place or something like that. But then I think about it and I'm like, if I run into something in there supernatural or paranormal, I'm gonna shit myself. Like, there's no way. Have you had any experiences or anything otherworldly? No.
Well, I mean, just you hear creaks and stuff.
Yeah.
You have to assume it's just the crackhead downstairs or the pipes leaking or. But I'm also, when we do get a chance to do it, because like if we won't go and explore something, if it's, no trespassing, blocked off with gates and all that stuff.
Right.
We specifically have only ever explored ones where the door's wide open and there's a decent amount of them around here in New England. It's amazing how many things have just shut down over the years.
Yeah, New England also has it's very rich in history and stuff like that. That's first 13 colonies and shit, man. So that's got to be an insane place to explore in. And for me in Florida, it's like I'm too much in this like the suburbs and in the city to really have places like that. I've always wanted to travel out and do something like that, and I'm sure at some point I will. But it's gonna have to be in the daytime, 100%. Not going anywhere. Have you ever gone anywhere at night?
No, it's always during the day.
Okay. Yeah, it's got to be during the day, and I've got to have at least one other person there with me. So I love that you're drawn in by this movie immediately because, I will always watch like abandoned. Like there's this one guy on YouTube, got Urban X or something like that. Urbex Explorations. He goes to all these abandoned places and has all these encounters and shit. And I love watching his stuff. I will watch people explore abandoned houses and stuff like that all day. And that's what's great about this ship. It is abandoned. Everyone died, but of course the spirits are still there. So the setting fucking rocks. There is nothing around them for miles. The description does say this is supposed to be set in the Bering Sea. And the Bering Sea, for anyone who didn't know, because I also had to look it up, the Bering Sea is, I just had the map. Yeah, it is over by Alaska. So that's why you can see mountains in the background. It's very cold and stuff like that. So that's a place you don't want to be going into the water because that water is fucking ice cold. So I'm good there. Where did my notes go? There we go. So yeah, the setting fucking rocks. The cast is killer as well. Desmond Harrington, I love. He's excellent in Dexter. Carl fucking Urban is always a delight to see in any movie. And I feel he is so underappreciated. He is literally a jack of all trades. And he only has 58 credits, which is kind of wild. But he's done like 2 Lord of the Rings movies, Chronicles of Riddick, Doom, the Star Wars or Star Trek trilogy, Thor Ragnarok, The Boys, and he's going to be in that new Mortal Kombat. I don't know how you feel about Carl Urban, but I fucking love Carl Urban.
I'm not sure I've seen anything you just listed off.
I mean, I haven't seen a lot of it either. You haven't seen the Lord of the Rings?
I don't like epic movies like that.
Okay, all right. That's totally fair. If it ain't your thing, I totally get it. We're actually going to watch Chronicles of Riddick tonight because we started, we did Pitch Black on the show, and then I had the other 2 movies, so we're going to check those out because I do love a good space sci-fi movie. So we've already mentioned Desmond Harrington's character as the ferryman, and maybe that's kind of what people have issue with. Maybe the twist doesn't work for people about what he's doing. I just don't know. But I mean, if you put that together with the lore, it makes a lot of sense. When I first saw this, it blew me away because I knew very limited amounts about Greek mythology, but I had known about the ferryman. I had known about that. And when I saw that twist, I was like, oh shit, this is great. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's the point where a lot of people are like, that just didn't work for me. I don't know. I don't have any friends that don't like this movie, but the ratings speak for themselves because the ratings kind of suck on this movie. So maybe
you don't need to know the lore though. Like he's like, even without knowing the lore, they explain it at the end, or he kind of explains it at the end, and he kind of just passes himself off as somebody who needs to collect souls.
Right. So yeah, I mean, maybe they do explain this, so you don't really have to know. That's totally correct. So. But maybe the reveal is something that people don't like. I don't know. I read the reviews and people don't explain why they don't like it. They're just like, this movie is fucking boring. And I'm like, but can we like expand upon that? Because that's one of my least favorite things on like Facebook or social media or wherever, where someone will post a picture of a movie and like, that movie sucked. Okay, tell me why it sucked, because just saying it sucked is like not a reason to hate a movie. I will respect anything you have to say about why you didn't like it, but you got to give me more than this movie's boring, because I'm not seeing that in Ghost Ship. This movie is a fucking riot of a time. Some key points that really, really I love about this, and then I'll kick it over to you for anything you have to say, is how Jack gaslights the one girl into thinking that she didn't see a ghost. He just is like, yeah, I see stuff all the time or whatever. Like, it was probably just your mind playing tricks on you. And she's like, yeah, it probably was. Like, I love that he's the reason that they're all there. He knows the ghosts exist, but he's just gaslighting Epps into thinking that nothing is there. But my ass would have been gone. I would have dove off the ship. Nope, there is no way I would have seen that young girl in a perfectly blue dress, not a scrape on her, nothing of like no dirt, nothing. I would have been, see ya. Where'd Austin go? He jumped off the ship. I would have been fucking gone. There's no fucking way. And she even mentions it, that she mentions it. She's the only person she mentions it to at first is Jack. She doesn't mention that she saw anything to the rest of the group until like almost the end of the movie, when people have started to die. And I was like, I would have been running down the corridors of that ship screaming, I just saw somebody.
Even though she's supposed to be like a daughter to the captain, like, wouldn't she have gone to him and been like, hey, something's a little messed up here? Like,
right. Something. So yeah, that's a big no from me. And then one of the things that really adds a level of anxiety for me, and I'm assuming you, since we've already established that we both don't like the ocean, is the fact that they do find out the boat is sinking. And this is, I think this is right before their ship explodes, because their ship explodes and now they're just on a sinking ship, pressed for time, trying to get the gold or get out of there in any way they can. So there's an underlying level of anxiety for me, because I'm like, how much time do they have before this thing actually fucking sinks? So for me, there's just that baseline of like, oh my God, we need to like go faster than what you're doing now. And then of course they try to, band-aid the boat and all that stuff. And there's that fun underwater scene. But yeah, and then what makes the situation worse is that is again the boat exploding, and then the one guy that was in the engine room fixing things, he unfortunately dies on that boat, which kind of sucks, because it's like, if I'm gonna die, can I at least die on the boat with the ghosts? Like, I gotta die on the boat that I've been working on this whole time. So I kind of felt that death always hits me. I'm like, man, he didn't do anything wrong. He was trying to fix the boat, but I guess technically that was wrong because they didn't want them to leave. So
he shouldn't have been a collected soul either, because he didn't get killed on the boat. He died on theirs.
But he ended up on the ship. Interesting. I never even thought about that.
It wasn't until you just said something about him dying on the exploding boat that I was like, wait a second, he shouldn't be there.
He technically shouldn't be. Is it like because it's supposed to be people that died on that boat. I didn't even put that together until you just pointed it out. All right, so there's a flaw in the system, I guess. Somehow he still managed to get someone who technically didn't die on the boat, because he pops up later as a ghost on that boat. So maybe there's we'll just say there's some sort of radius around the boat, because they were. I guess the boats were touching. Maybe does that count?
You're within 50 feet and you're my soul.
It's like a Wi-Fi radius. Yeah, it's like you've got some room, some wiggle room there. So what do you got for anything else specifically that you really enjoyed about this movie? Any key scenes or any key elements? We'll get into favorite kills and stuff like that here in a minute.
No, I love the soundtrack. They only play the one Mudvayne song, but I love. That's like a big aspect of the early 2000s movies, because I was big into that type of music at the time.
Oh yeah.
I love the boat messing with their minds.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole scene that you mentioned earlier where everything's coming back together and he's like following the chick around and whatever. I think that's a cool aspect of it. And I know you mentioned that it wasn't technically a remake, but it is kind of a mashup of the original Ghost Ship from 1952,
Mm-hmm.
Death Ship, and then kind of their own thing in between.
Yeah, it's not like a direct remake, but it does have touches of a few different things. And maybe that's another reason. People, I don't know, people didn't like it, but it's like, I don't know. Has anyone I haven't even seen the original Ghost Ship. I mean, how available is that movie? So I can't.
Put out by Warner Archives on Blu-ray, but you can also find it on the Internet Archives.
Oh, so it is pretty interesting. Okay, so I might have to just go blind by that one, because I mean, what else do I have to do with my time? Oh, I really like that title card. That's a really cool title card, and it's 75 minutes. Boom. Okay, so yeah. And it's apparently streaming on Plex as well, so I might even be able to check that out for free. Okay, so yeah. I can't imagine that being a huge reason for why people didn't like it, because I don't think many people have seen the original, and also the first two movies that Dark Castle did were already remakes. So, but going back to what you said about the ship playing tricks on them, I really love that too, because everyone not everyone, but there's a few people that have their own interactions where the boat is messing with them. And I think it's I love that, because it messes with their perception. It basically reverts the boat back to its original, how it looked in the 60s. And it's a lot of fun. And that's one of the greatest, bait and switches we get in the movie, is when the hot Spanish lady or hot Italian lady is like, oh, come this way with me. And then, falls down the elevator shaft. Like, it's such a good time. Because then you even have Murphy. He sees the captain, and nothing really happens around them in that scene, but he offers him a drink. Murphy just downs the drink, and he gives him information on the ferryman. And that's a good moment too, because he hands him a picture of somebody that we don't know, and then we don't see that picture of who the person is until he dies in that little tube where the picture of Desmond Harrington comes out, and you're like, oh shit, okay. So that's what I love. And I wrote down right here, which is funny, what's great about the ghosts is that if you die on the ship, you're immediately a ghost on that ship. But yeah, technically that guy didn't die on the actual ship. But anyone else who does is and then I think that kind of was not wasted, but there were other people of the crew that died that we don't see come back as ghosts. I think that would have been a fun climactic thing at the end where they all try to come together to stop them, but we don't see anybody else as ghosts. And I'm kind of wondering why they didn't utilize that. They only utilized the Spanish guy working on the engine. So I found that kind of interesting. Would have liked to see more of that for sure. Let's see. A couple other things, because there's really not much that doesn't work for me. So the movie eventually winds to the twist that everyone on board was purposefully murdered by poison or being shot by Jack, who takes the collected souls. And I love at the end, because you get this almost quadruple fucking what's it called when you quadruple cross at the end, because the crew is involved with Jack and they kill everyone on board, and then the crew turns on one another and they start killing everybody, and then Francesca kills the last remaining guy of the crew, and then Jack kills Francesca. It's like, how many fucking double crosses are we gonna get here at the end? But
stabbing motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's all out right there, and you're like, holy shit. But it does raise a few questions at the end that I'll go over for what didn't work. So anything else about likes or what worked before we go on to things that didn't necessarily work?
No.
All right, so what didn't necessarily work? The cold open and all of its awesomeness is great, but it doesn't really make sense because everyone's cut through the middle, but then the captain's cut through the head, and then the little girl doesn't get cut at all. So it's a little weird. I don't think they did that it wasn't obviously intentional, but I thought that was kind of strange. The CG for the most part is great, but there are some wonky bits, but it's not something I knock the movie for. Katie's accent, and her name again was Emily Browning. I know she's not British, or at least I don't think she is, because everything else I've seen her in, she doesn't have an accent. Her accent wasn't necessarily working for me, but luckily she doesn't have a lot of dialogue. And then some things that aren't really explained, like how many souls does the ferryman need before he can send them home? Why does it have to be a certain amount at once? How did he make it off of the ship even though it exploded to another ship? So there's some little things that I'm just kind of but it doesn't affect my rating. It's just kind of things they don't really answer, or maybe they do. Maybe you can blow my mind with some facts here. I don't know.
No.
He said no. So anything for you? Anything that doesn't fully work for you with Ghost Ship?
Not really. The only thing I wrote down as far as a dislike was the part where they fucking eat maggots.
Oh God.
It is. I hate any scene with that. I hate maggots so much. Not that anybody likes fucking maggots, but it's always something that's grossed me out ever since I was a kid.
Yes, especially when they're eating the beans, like, oh, these beans are so good. And they're like, oh, wait. And then they hold on Carl Urban's face with the maggots for far too long. And he's just like, and they all just start pouring out of his mouth. And I was like, I hate it so much. Okay, so going into hot takes, I mean, my hot take's gonna be the same as 13 Ghosts. I think this movie fucking slaps. Not just the intro, the whole goddamn thing. I genuinely, like, fuck all the hate this movie gets. I don't get it. Hot take for you. Do you have any hot takes?
That is my same hot take. I honestly never realized how low this movie was rated until I went to do this with you. And I'm looking at the IMDb and the Google search for it. And I'm like, why? I always thought that this movie was well liked, at least within the horror community.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are people who do, but the vast majority of people, I mean, it has fucking terrible ratings. I like even 13 Ghosts doesn't have the greatest, but they're better. But this one, I was like, these are poopy diapers like ratings. Like, well, what's going on? So, okay, we both feel the same way about that. Hooked moment for me, I'm assuming is also going to be the same. It's the opening kill. If that doesn't hook you right, if that doesn't hook you right in, I don't know what will. For me, there's never a moment that I'm particularly fully lost on the movie. The ending does get a little complicated, but they do explain everything. And I assume for you, there's never a moment that you're like, I'm done with this movie. Okay.
No, because, going into it knowing that it's a mystery, obviously there might be parts where you feel lost, but things are going to get explained.
Yeah, they don't really leave much to question outside of the random little things that I had, but it's not enough to make me be like, well, I don't like this movie now. So, okay, horror moments for me. One, I have two because they're kind of, I'd say one is a little bit more, but they're both they're both about equal, is when Epps opens the door or the hatch and all the water comes pouring out, and then you see a bunch of dead bodies come flying out, because I'm like, how old are those bodies? How old is that water? What's in that water? Ick. Major fucking ick for me. And then the maggot eating scene is also another one where I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. What about you? What's your favorite moment of horror from this movie?
Honestly, the whole flashback sequence when they're just showing everybody getting killed and how they're doing it. Every time I watch this movie, I forget that that's how they explain it out. Yeah. And it's so like, oh yeah. And like whatever weird techno new metal that's playing while it's going. And
yeah, that's so funny you say that, because I also forget about, I remember most of how they kill the people, but the poison, I always forget about the poison, and then putting that in the soup and everyone just vomiting everywhere. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what this part is from.
I kicked the movie on to start it, and like I'm like trying to go through in my mind what I'm going to write down for all my stuff here, and I'm like, wait, how did they kill everybody on the boat? Because the wire wouldn't have killed everyone. And then it got to that scene, and I was like, oh, that's right, I forgot they explain everything.
I forgot. Totally forgot. My favorite kill is Francesca's hook right to the face. So good, because you think they're not going to show it, because she's swinging there and the blood's dripping, and then they pull out to like a wide shot, and you're like, oh, she got royally fucked up. What about you? Favorite kill?
That is also my favorite kill. I did not expect that to line up. That is fucking good.
I love it. Favorite character for me is Munder. Carl Urban. Anytime he's in a movie, he's going to be my favorite character. I just love him. It's kind of funny because they gave him that long, kind of greasy, like shaggy hair, I guess to kind of ugly him up or something. I don't know. But I just love Carl Urban. What about you? What's a character that's your favorite?
I also put down him just because he is the comic relief as well.
Yeah. He's kind of the voice of reason as well. Much like 13... Oh, no, I did have one for 13 Ghosts. I don't really have a least favorite character in this one. I think everyone has a part. They play it well, and I don't feel like there's like any sort of weak performance. I think everyone does a really good job in this. Another reason why I don't get the hate, because it's not like this is even... It's not like the acting is even bad in this. The acting is on point for It's honestly better than what I would expect from a movie in this time period, given the context of what the movie is about. So I don't have a least favorite character. I don't know if you do.
I don't either. I put down Santos just so I'd have somebody, but like honestly, it was mostly because he wasn't really around, and I was like, he's kind of throwaway.
Yeah, he's kind of, and then he just dies. So yeah. This is one of the few times I forgot to write down a favorite line. Usually I have some sort of one-liner, zinger, or something like that. It's probably something Carl Urban said in regards to Greer seeing the vision that he saw, or he's like, I swear I saw a woman. Carl Urban says something right there. I forgot what it is, but I didn't write it down. Any lines of dialogue that stand out to you that are funny?
Yes, absolutely. When he looks at the poster of the Italian woman and goes, ooh, Francesca, nice titties.
Classic. I love it.
I immediately wrote it down because I was like, that is going to be my favorite line.
Love it. So a couple random thoughts here that was new thing I've started just because sometimes they don't fit into the format. Like I said, not enough horror movies that take place on a boat. You've got Triangle, Death Ship, the original Ghost Ship, Deep Rising, Dead Calm, Anaconda, kind of. Jason Takes Manhattan, kind of. You know, it's mostly on a boat, but I don't know. I love horror movies set on boats. I love when I write things down and then I just don't understand what I was trying to say. I wrote down, I would absolutely be the guy who said on the boat that wasn't haunted. Oh, I would absolutely be the guy that stayed on their boat and didn't get on the haunted boat. Yes, that's what I would do. And also the boat explosion was top fucking tier, even though some angles looked a little wonky. I love a good explosion in horror movies, and you can see it coming at the last second and then just... So, random thoughts I had there. Expectations. I don't have any expectations because I've seen this before. And then if I were to review movies on Letterboxd, I just shamelessly plug the podcast instead. But if I were to review a horror movie, it would be, you ever get tricked into falling down an elevator shaft by a smoking hot ghost because you thought she wanted to bang you? Yeah, me neither. That would have been my review. Any final thoughts on Ghost Ship before we move on to the post-review stuff?
This is just a fun-ass movie.
Fun-ass movie, I agree. Finally, we have someone else besides my wife that loves this movie. Because, like, my friend, a lot of my friends do like it, but they don't, like, love it like I do. They're like, yeah, this is fun. And I'm like, no, this is, like, awesome. I love this movie. Moving on to post-review stuff. There's only one tagline, and it is See Evil, as in C-E-A evil. I love a good pun. That's fun. Trivia, in 2016, the media website Coming Soon named the film's opening scene one of the greatest in horror film history. The scene on the foredeck where the captain and passengers are dancing and the scene in the ballroom was a common tradition at the time near the end of a transatlantic voyage. These were usually held near the coast as the ship approached the end of the trip, and these balls were considered the captain's ball. Francesca Retondini did not speak any English, which required Steve Beck to get a translator on set so that she could understand his directions. This is also why she's not given much dialogue in the film, and what few lines she does have are in Italian. Like I mentioned before already, the theatrical poster Ghost Ship was inspired by the poster for Death Ship 1980, another film about a haunted ocean liner. And lastly here, this was the first Dark Castle entertainment horror film released to be based on an original concept, as the original idea for the company was to remake William Castle horror films, which the previous films were, though it was still critically panned like the previous two releases. Two goofs here. At around 19 minutes, when exploring the Ghost Ship for the first time, the team encounters a pendulum clock that's still working. There would never be a pendulum clock on a boat because such clocks don't work at sea. The pendulum swing conflicts with the boat swinging, and thus the clock would never tell the correct time or even stop. So that's funny. I didn't even know that. Didn't even really think about that until I saw that trivia. And then, yes, just like I mentioned as well, the opening scene, the wire slices through attendees. Some are cut in half, some are not cut in half, some are cut at the armpits of the chest, so just a weird thing that happened. Rated 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb, a 2.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, a 14% on the tomato meter, and a 37% audience score. Woof! What did you rate this, Derek?
I gave it a 3.5.
That is exactly what I gave it. There, look at this. There's lining up. syncing up on all accounts here. Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. It's a solid movie. It's not winning any awards, but it's not as terrible as everyone makes it out to be, or at least the ratings make it out to be. Similar movies, according to Letterboxd, we have House on Haunted Hill, 1999, The Fog, 2005, 13 Ghosts, of course, Death Ship, and The Haunting. And similar movies, according to IMDb, we have 13 Ghosts, 2001, Gothica, Death Ship, House of Wax, and House on Haunted Hill. Those line up very well. That's like the first time in this show's history that they are so on the nose together. So I've got a few funny reviews here. Did you happen to grab any funny reviews?
I picked apart some reviews to take some funny aspects from them.
Oh, I like this. Okay, I typically come with 5, so how many do you have?
I got 4.
Perfect. So I'll go first since I've got more. Let's start with this one. Most of these are just bad reviews. 1 star from Charlie Smith. This shit was so ass that I was hoping for an iceberg to rock up and sink this barely haunted ghost ship. All right. Not for him. What do you got?
A lot of people think it's tolerable because it's from the early 2000s, but a lot of stuff sucked back then. I mean, remember 9/11? May I say more?
Wow. Comparing this to 9/11 is wild. Oh, wow. That is wild. Let's see here. No rating or a heart, just review from Single White Femalien. In my factual opinion, every straight man would fuck a sexy titty ghost, and you can't convince me otherwise. I mean, what did he say? It's not cheating if it's with a ghost, right? Right?
Right.
I don't know the rules here. All right, what do you got? What's next?
This is The Shining at Sea, and Stephen King should sue.
No, it's not. Not even close to The Shining.
And I picked all from 1-star reviews, by the way.
Oh, I love this. 1 star from Deep Space 9mm Ghost Ship. Has a emoji of 1 star. The nap I took while watching Ghost Ship, 3 stars. So you didn't watch Ghost Ship is what I'm getting out of this review. So silly. All right, what do you got?
Hideous a word. Well, it should be, so I can use it to describe this movie. So shitty and horrendous, I guess, is what they were trying to mash together for a word.
Oh my God. I'll save my, I have 1 good review. So this one's from 2 stars from Justin LaLiberty. Gabriel Byrne yelling at that dude to turn off his Mudvayne CD is every new metal fan's mom in 2002.
That's a good one.
I like that one. All right, you got one more?
Sail away in the other direction.
That's actually pretty good. My last one here, 4 stars. So a good one, a good review here. 4 stars from Blue Ghosts. I love when water is evil or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I love that too. Good stuff here. Ah, goodness. All right, Derek, where can everybody find you on the social media so they can check out your content?
You can find me on TikTok, HFK48. I'm on Instagram. I think I changed it to HFK48 on there too, but it might be Horror Film Kid 48. And that's it. I don't use a lot of socials. I have my letterbox too.
Oh yeah, what's your letterbox?
HFK.
There you go. Very, very consistent across all social media. And according to Instagram, it is Horror Film Kid 48. I just checked the DMs there. If you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Slasher app, Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube at frightmarespodcast. I don't know why I do all of this stuff. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. You can also follow me personally on Letterboxd at Dr. Proctor. Derek, thank you for joining me today. It has been a blast talking about one of the best, one of the most fun movies of the 2000s. Appreciate your time. Go check him out on all the socials, as he just mentioned. Next week, Corey and I are going to be doing Darkness Falls from 2003, the movie everyone forgot about until right now. So until then, stay tuned and stay spooky.